We have an amazing story today that I know is going to impact so many and is going to enlighten us on the plights of different mothering and how some mothers are forced to mother in a different way and how they make lemonade from the lemons that life gives them.
Hello, my name is Audrey Webombesa, a mother to 3 children, a wife. Yes, that is me summarized.
All right. So when we were talking, you shared that something happened with your second pregnancy.
Yeah.
So I want us to just dive deep now.
So my second pregnancy was a normal pregnancy. I went for antenatal very many times, way more than my first pregnancy. Yeah, it was all good. But my first pregnancy, for my firstborn, I had a C-section.
Okay.
And I was really young when I had him. I was 22. So we waited for 5 years, my husband and I, to have another child. So yes, I conceived O'Neill, and the pregnancy is good. We went for antenatal all those times, and it was good. But since I had had a C-section initially, the gynecologist told me we would try and see if I could push, have a normal delivery, because the time had been long and everything seemed okay with me.
Okay. Was
Yes.
this the same gynecologist as your first pregnancy?
No, this was
Okay.
different.
All right.
So this time, we tried our best to have it very good compared to my first one. You know, when you're younger, you don't have all this access. But now we had stepped up a bit financially, so we tried our best. We even did an international hospital. Wow. The whole time, the antenatal and the whole delivery was in one of Kampala's best hospitals, international hospitals. Yes.
Okay. So now the pregnancy was okay. You did the scans. The baby was fine.
The baby was fine. Yeah.
And now delivery.
So delivery, I go into labor, and everything is progressing well. Then the gynecologist convinces me that I could push. Yeah, but during labor, I kept vomiting a lot. My labor comes with vomiting. I kept vomiting a lot. So I was really weak, but he told me we could do it. He was present. He was a present gynecologist. So I was in hospital on time. Everything seemed to be well. But then the centimeters were moving. I don't know what that's called medically.
The dilation.
Yes, the dilation. Everything seemed okay. And then until we go to the labor suite. So we are there in the labor suite, and he's telling me to push, but I vomited a lot, so I was really weak. What I heard him say was that maternal effort was low. I felt like I was pushing, but I think the baby wasn't
descending.
Yes, the baby wasn't descending. But another small detail I had forgotten was that the baby had a cord around his neck.
Had this been detected before?
Yes, by him, the same gynecologist. And he informs me late after the whole process that he had forgotten that part. So as I'm trying to push, the baby isn't coming out. So time keeps going. I would hear, weak as I was, people in the women they were bringing in would have their babies and they go out. But for me, nothing is happening. So I was literally becoming unconscious. I was getting weaker and weaker. So it's at that point where he starts looking for... So they started looking for a certain machine to help me deliver the baby. Yeah.
Is that the one they put on the baby's head and suction him out?
Yes. It's called what's that machine called? I've forgotten. Yeah. So he starts looking for the machine to bring the baby, to help me get the baby out. But he realizes there's a missing component.
On the machine?
On the machine. So I'm on the bed. They start looking for that
component.
Yes, so they're asking the nurses, who used it last, while I'm waiting. And the baby is ready to come.
Getting tired.
It's getting tired. So they look for it. Eventually they find it. They bring and attach it, and they bring the baby out. But now a lot of time has gone by. I guess the baby is tired. Yeah. So the baby comes out but doesn't cry instantly because he's tired. He even had a cold. So when the baby is brought out, they start working on the baby. Eventually, after a couple of minutes, he cried. Yes, when he cried, they rushed him to the nursery. So in the meantime, because of that machine, it really tears you. So they're working on me. I'm being stitched. But then, when I asked the gynecologist, he told me, don't worry. Now it is well. In about 3 days, you'll go home. He said the baby, initially he was really nervous. You would see he was sweating because the baby wasn't crying. No sound was coming out.
And once the baby cried, he felt like...
Yeah, once the baby cried, he felt a relief and told me in 3 days would be going home. So I was encouraged. I had hope. Yeah, that we would go home soon. Yeah.
Were you alone in the labor ward? Like, did you have a sister, your husband?
Yeah, my husband and mother were there. They were at the door. Actually, as time kept going on, my mother became, I think, anxious. She started banging the door, asking what's happening to my daughter. I would hear her screaming because I'd taken
a
long time as in coming out. Myself wasn't feeling anything anymore. I was just numb. I think I was becoming really...
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
so 3 days after, how is on
3 days, that same evening, I go by the nursery and I breastfed him. He actually did well. And then that's another test which they use to check if the baby is okay.
Yeah.
So they told me, oh, the baby is fine. He has breastfed, you'll be going home soon. By the next morning, now O'Neill was a big baby. Even in his pictures, he looks big, but he had been put inside the incubator. So the next morning I come, he's out of the incubator, and they're telling me that was a mistake. He wasn't supposed to be in the incubator. Then I asked him to breastfeed him. They said no more breastfeeding him. He's going to feed on fluids. So I didn't understand. Fluids. Yeah, like he's going to feed intravenous. So I didn't understand. They told me they would put him on glucose. So I didn't know what was going on. Then I kept myself as really weak. Remember, I had also been through so much. So I went back to rest. Then, like by evening, I come back to check on the baby, and he has all these
tubes,
nurses, doctors around him, tubes. So I was puzzled. I wondered what was happening. Then I was told he deteriorated. He got an infection in the nursery.
What kind of infection? Did they explain that to you?
I don't know. I didn't ask. I was just told he got an infection, but now he's not in the incubator. He's on those beds. Yes. So I was puzzled. By that night, evening, he had really worsened. The breathing was... Labored breathing. Everything kept going, but I didn't know what to do. But since we were in hospital, which I believe was one of the best, I still had hope. So, but by the 3rd day, the one we were told was the 3rd day, things were so bad. He had started getting seizures.
How could you tell that he was having a seizure?
I would just see sudden movement. Okay. Like he's jerking, and then when I would ask, I was told those are seizures. So what happened, as a mother, you can't have peace. I couldn't sleep in the night. So during the nights, I would make trips to the nursery or ask my mother to go, or she escorts me there. But then most of the time, you would find O'Neill unattended to. There are those oxygen tubes supposed to be in the nose, but you'll find them out of the nose. It's on the side. Maybe the nurse in charge is on phone, probably social media. So there is a day I phoned him. The tubes were out. The oxygen tubes are out. he's jerking. By then I didn't know that's a seizure. He's jerking, and then I asked her, what's happening to my baby? She told me, Abaway about you. Then she stands up sluggishly to come and put them back. Because why I didn't put them back is I'm doing this every night. So what happens when I'm not there? That's why this time I wanted her to be the one. And then as she's trying to put them back, I think he gets a bad seizure. She runs to try and get the doctor and nurses. But even then, in my head, it hadn't sunk that our condition is deteriorating and there will be no return, no reverse. Yeah. That's what happened.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So
eventually, after a couple of days in that hospital, one morning.
It's okay, we can take a minute. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so one morning we were told, I was in my room, and then a phone call comes in, those hospital phones. So I pick it up and I'm told to rush to the nursery. Just as I was about to get up, when you nakawele, you can't really.
You get up slowly.
Yeah, you get up slowly. They call back and say, let the father come now. So when we went, when I was there, I was told O'Neill had passed on. Yeah. And so the doctor explained to me that because of whatever had happened, the oxygen was limited to the brain. He had got seizures, and then he had failed to make it. So she even, because I remember when I entered, she told me to carry a chair, those plastic chairs, and sit by her table. Then she explained to me everything. But she was talking, it's like I was just in another state. I don't know if I was listening or not. Then we stood up, we went to his bed, and she showed me that those tests they do on babies to show, because even the machine, I would see what was happening, the readings were
not there.
Yes, then she holds the hand and
It
then
just falls.
But still, I wasn't, because during his pregnancy, I'd prayed so much. So in my head, I was like, God cannot do this right now. Yeah, so in the process, the father entered. And then when I saw the father, I think that's when it sank that all this is happening, and I really broke down. I remember I even collapsed. Yeah, then they called us to organize an ambulance and then take the body and all that. I couldn't speak. I think I don't know, but I could hear everything that was happening. So my husband starts organizing. One thing I've skipped is when O'Neill's condition deteriorated, he needed more oxygen. So the oxygen he was on was called free flow, that initial oxygen, but he needed more. I think oxygen has levels, but that hospital did not have.
I think there's CPAP.
CPAP is the next.
Yeah.
But the hospital didn't have, and they did not communicate who would have tried to take him somewhere else. So in this process of being told to take the body, we are called back. They called back the father, who was at this time also very disoriented. His distress is in tears. They call him back and they said, I think they call it pulse, there is something. And they tell us we need a bigger hospital with more oxygen. So we want to go to that hospital. We need an ambulance. This hospital that year, 2020, didn't have their own ambulance. We had to hire. We had to look for an ambulance in our state. An ambulance with oxygen. So we made some calls. Yeah, my gynecologist was there, and at that point he recommended. At that point we only had, I think, 2 or 3 options, Nakasero, which was very expensive,
Yeah.
Mengo and Mulago. Mengo was full, and they were not allowing babies past some number of days. We had taken so
Past
many.
the day.
They say their worry is you could bring an infection to these other new babies. So we ended up in Mulago, the new Mulago, the specialized women.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we take him there, and then we start a new journey. So in ambulance, I wasn't in the ambulance, I couldn't handle. It was my mother and her sister. Because at this point, people had gathered, family members had come, everyone was consoling me. The nurses were telling me, be strong, you have another baby, we tried our best. So it was...
That is not a way to console
It wasn't the way to console. Everyone was hugging. In fact, the truth is, I looked at the balcony. All this noise in my room, all these nurses, doctor, everyone hugging me. I just wished to run away from this point. And if I looked down, but it was quite far, if I could jump, because what they were telling me wasn't consoling at all. So family had gathered, my husband's family, my family. So when they tell us to head to Mulago, they took him in the ambulance. They went to Mulago, they reached there. I'm told the team in Mulago started asking, because in the ambulance there was some medical people from this hospital. So they asked them where they have been all this while, why they held on to a baby in that condition, yet they know their facility couldn't handle.
Yeah.
They would have referred him much earlier. So we start a new journey there. Is it called resuscitating him?
Yeah, they resuscitated.
And then they put him on new machines and life starts afresh. So there, for most of the time there, he was on the CPAP. Yes.
So at this point, do they give you a diagnosis? What's wrong?
At that point, the priority is to save life. Right? At that point, I'm aware. Excuse me.
It's okay. It's okay.
I think I'm aware that there's a brain damage, but I don't even know what brain damage is. Yeah.
This was just from you knowing that he was without oxygen for some time.
For some
but
time.
no one told you that he had brain damage.
So she told me, the pediatrician who called me to give me the news at the previous hospital told me it's a brain damage. She told me there are degrees in brain damage. Those were her words. 1st degree, 2nd degree, 3rd, and I think 4th, if I remember well. And then she told me for the children who get 1st and 2nd, they may live somewhat normal life. She told me, but unfortunately yours is worse than that. She told me in modern countries, even if he lived today, you would ask you if you were willing, you'd sign somewhere and we'd turn off the machines, because his life is going to be, she told me his life is going to be so bad. His quality of life he's going to be such a burden even to you. So for modern countries, we usually don't, she said they usually advise them not to live on. So yes, she talked to me, and of course I'm a mother with hope. I couldn't even think in the direction. And since I had never seen these cases, I kept thinking maybe, because of my faith, I thought maybe mine will be the different one.
Yeah.
This can happen. Things change every day.
Yeah.
For people here. So even in Mulago, I saw the way they were handling us. It really showed that my case was so bad. We were given the first bed next to the doctor's table. And every doctor who would come in, every specialist, that time they wouldn't even reach the other beds for the other babies, but it was ours. All the focus was on us. That's when it rang that we are really critical. Even these cleaners, they usually give information. A cleaner came and told me in the last 6 months, only 1 baby had made it on that bed. She told me, Kamba Sabide. So that's when I realized, I'm like, oh, okay, this is really serious. But up to then I had faith, because he kept deteriorating. 1 minute the brain is bleeding, 1 minute go and do this, go and do this test, do this test. But I still had faith. Mine will come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was, what year was that?
2020.
So where's O'Neill?
Only this year with me today. He just turned 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can we see him?
Yeah.
He's sleeping.
He's awake.
Do you know this?
Yeah.
So how did you leave that bed that other babies were not making it from?
I think it was just grace from God. Because even there was a night, I don't know why all these things happen in the night. A night where I come in and his readings are really becoming so bad. When I ran to call and ask for help, the best she could do is to tell me. There's nothing much she could do. She just carried the mortality book. I remember it was a blue counter book. She opened it, wrote the number and the time, like number 14.
She literally declared him dead.
Yeah, she was, I think, informing me that he's dying, so be ready. Because on his bed there were all those readings, temperature, what, and only O'Neill's bed had all those things. So the rest of the babies didn't. So yeah, she opened the book and puts it on the table, on the doctor's table. Then she stands with me looking at the baby. That is me. I want to call someone for help, and she just opens the mortality book and writes number and waits for time, because she kept looking at the time. I think they're supposed to record time of death. Yeah. So at that point, I got out, walked to my room. I remember calling Jesus. That's all I knew how to do. I didn't know what else to do. And then when I reached my room,
you were by yourself or you?
My mom was there. When she asked me what's happening in the NICU, I told her. I didn't answer her. I think she saw my face and then she rushed there and found the same nurse with the same book. Of course, mothers, I think she demanded to see a doctor and called sound scaffold, and the doctor came, and again, they resuscitated him, and then somehow
he came back.
He comes back. Yeah. So eventually, we are discharged somehow. We make it through and we are discharged.
At what point now? How long had he
I think we had been in Mulago in NICU in Mulago, I think for 3 weeks.
So he was 3 weeks old? 4 weeks?
When you add the other, I think he was now a month old. Yeah. So, but at the point of discharge, he could even breastfeed. He was crying. The things people take for granted, but for us, we prayed so hard to hear him cry. We prayed so hard for him to breastfeed, to suckle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the point of discharge, he was crying. Yeah, there are those tests they do, they hold the baby and as if they're trying to throw him and see
his instincts.
Yeah, they were all there. But we were discharged with tubes in his nose for feeding. Yeah, but when we got home, he didn't even need them. The first night he pulled them out. When we rushed back to hospital, the next day they told us to try
to breastfeed.
And then he breastfed well. Yeah, so everything seemed to be going okay. Yeah, we seemed to be fine. So at that point, it's 1 month. So we seemed to be fine until we turned 3 months. He was playing, he was looking at me, he was crying like any fine baby. He was chubby, actually. Yeah. And we kept going back for review. And they were impressed given his history. They were like, oh, because they would tell us, for example, put him on the shoulder and without supporting the back, and he wouldn't. So
He wouldn't fall back.
Yeah, it seemed like he had neck support at that point. Yeah. So, and until 3 months, that's when the story changed.
What happened at 3 months?
So when he turned 3 months, he started making some kind of movement. He would just,
Jack.
yeah, he would jerk. But then since I didn't know anything, I assumed it was colic, probably because he would jerk and he wouldn't cry. He was jolly, he had an appetite, he was always feeding. Yeah. So one evening the father returns from work and he tells me, have you noticed that movement? I told him, yeah, it's been here for like a week. I think it's colic. He told me he didn't think it was colic. He tried to Google, but he didn't know what it was called.
Yeah.
So that night passed. The following morning, he called me. While he was at work, he called me and told me it is actually very serious. It's called jerking. We need to see a doctor today. So we go and find a pediatrician who refers us to a neurologist. That's when we start realizing, oh,
This is serious.
serious, yeah. So they told us it was jerking. Those are the early signs of a brain damage. They told us, but if we started medication, maybe there would be some hope. They sent us to that MRI. And according to the MRI, things were really messed up in the brain. It was really bad. So she told us he had been so affected. For example, at birth, the oxygen was really low. She told us things like his mobility, things like him walking, sitting, may never happen. But she encouraged us to start on physio immediately. Yeah. So indeed, we started on physiotherapy immediately.
At 3 months.
At 3 months, yes. And he started his medication that day to date. Yeah. But the jerking then those were called infantile spasms. So as the child grows, they also change. Yeah, so now, currently he's battling drug-resistant epilepsy. So these seizures I think they kept presenting themselves in different ways. So now he has seizures every day, every time.
So the jerking I saw him do when he
Yeah,
moved
those are
his leg was a
seizures.
seizure.
Yes. He has very many types of seizures because very many parts of the brain were affected. Yeah, so you see some children may have one type which is localized when a particular part of the brain, but in our case, if you looked at our MRI, very many parts of the brain were affected. Yes.
So now at 4 years, what can O'Neill do?
Nothing.
But does he feed on his own? Can you feed him food directly?
Yeah, he would love to. He feeds, he chews, but we smash it. He wants to feed, but you have to be very careful in his feeding because he chokes a lot. And they have a condition, children with cerebral palsy have a condition called aspiration, like
the food can go to the lungs.
Yeah, food often goes to the lungs. So while feeding him, you have to be really, really careful. We were advised last year to do a surgery where he stops feeding through the mouth and they put tubes on the stomach and we feed directly. Yeah, but for now I think we can still. It's not easy though, but we manage through the mouth. Yeah.
Wow.
So eventually the whole thing turned into cerebral palsy.
At what point do you get the diagnosis for cerebral palsy?
I think at around 5 months, because we thought if we saw doctors more often and sooner, we would save something. Yeah, but at around 5 months, one neurologist told us he had cerebral palsy. He wouldn't eat, he wouldn't walk, he wouldn't sit. I remember that day he even told us to get a wheelchair. He told us, be ready to get a wheelchair, and even gave us a contact. So we looked at each other, thinking he was insensitive, but I think he was actually saying the truth.
But I feel like even if you're saying the truth, there is a way that you deliver such delicate news to parents.
I don't know, I think people are different, but most of our doctors don't. Because he told us, Katoyo si mwana oyo kati, So we wondered, what is, if he's not a child, what is he? Yeah. So we start on our journey of cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is mainly, I think, a neurological condition.
Should we give him back so he's comfortable? Even
No.
you, your hands, you're okay?
I'm okay.
All right. It's too early. Wait.
So it affects the brain, which ends up affecting the muscle tone, the movement. Yes. So that's why all he can do is chew. Because even his sight right now is gone. He lost his sight. I think partly because of the medication. There are medications which are so strong. And because of his condition, he's on 4 different types. They're all so strong. He takes every day, morning and night.
How do you give them to him?
Orally.
Are they like syrups?
Yeah, some are syrups, some are medicine, tablets.
He can swallow the tablets.
Yes, I make sure he swallows. You put him in every possible angle until he swallows. But these are really strong. What I mean is that for some children with epilepsy, they are just on one type and the seizures disappear. In our case, all these 4 types, and we've kept trying out different medicines. Yeah, but none can take away the seizures. Yeah. So his is drug resistant. Why we give him the medicine is to at least bring down the
Reduce the
seizures
intensity.
a bit, but they don't go away. He has seizures day and night. Yeah.
How has this affected you and your husband? In what ways?
First of all, I would love to thank God and thank my husband because he has stood. Parenting on Neil, it's not easy. It has been our life's toughest test, but he has been consistent. My husband has made sure we don't lack medicine for even a single day, regardless of if he's broke, if there is no test. They have told us to go for. There is no neurologist. There is no that he has not tried to reach. And I appreciate him for that. And another thing that makes him, I think, stand out is the hope he has in his son. He has hope up to now that he'll return one day. Maybe Odile is walking. He has so much faith. He doesn't skip physiotherapy. Even if Odile is unwell, he tells you go for physio. Maybe you'll find. So I just want, first of all, to appreciate him. And our lives have been very affected. This is a condition you didn't sign up for. You have no experience. Personally, I've never seen any child like this. Never. So, but you learn on job. I had to forget everything to do with employment. I don't work. My job, my everything is on you. So you, as a human being, you also had dreams. But everything has to be on hold for the sake of your child. mentally you're really put to test.
Yeah.
You're really put to test because I'm not a medical personnel, but right now I know how to operate oxygen machines. I know how to nebulize O'Neill at home. I know. You're not well mentally. It is exhausting. He doesn't sleep in the night. He has to be carried through the night. He gets reflux. Whatever he ate during the day comes back to haunt him in the night. So you sit, practical sitting. Because once you make him lie, he'll cry. It's exhausting. You're even worried that probably a seizure could be so bad.
Yeah.
So your whole life
Exactly.
revolves around that. You don't have a personal life. For many years, I think for 2 years, my neighbors didn't even know me because we had moved into a new place, but all I would do was O'Neill. Yes. If I don't do it, no one will do it. Yeah. So your lives are affected, not to mention the financial part of it. So these medications, I told you, that is when he's okay. But their immunities are low. So there's a lot of infection. For O'Neill, even just flu, the seizures double.
Increase.
Yeah. They're always, so you're always in hospital. And you will go to hospital, but you have to see specialists. There's a lot of your lives which turns around. Yeah, totally. As a mother, sometimes you even forget about the other children because you're so, like when O'Neill is unwell, you're just totally all about O'Neill because he thinks it's like he's always critical, you're always being given deadlines. We may not see him after 2 hours, we may have him only today. So imagine getting those reports over and over again. They can't leave you well. Yeah. So that's it. We are okay, we survive. But so many times we break down. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you get some sort of support, psychosocial support, counseling, therapy?
Yeah. I think a bit.
In some way.
But personally, as Audrey, I'm at a phase where, because so many times I've been told to join groups of all parents having children with CP, and I don't know how I am. I don't want. I want for a minute when I'm on social media to have a normal life. I don't want to be reminded of my daily life, even when I'm online. You'll be shocked that I even rarely post things to do with O'Neill. I want for a minute to have somewhat a normal life. I love my son to bits. Yes, but there are moments where I just want to be. I'll tell you that days I leave home, especially if he has been sick. Let's say he had an infection and we've been in hospital and we've been on all these machines, we've been given deadlines. When I'm there in the moment,
You're there.
there's a time a doctor even asked me, are you sure you're the mother? Because I think I've had so much. She'll tell me we are losing me and I'll just look at you. I no longer know how to react. But eventually it
sinks in.
It sinks in. So the moments I just leave home, especially if he has improved and I'm sure now his back is with us, I can choose to go to town to do nothing. Just to walk around, like be in a different place. Just to rotate around town and come back home and I feel better. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Knowing what you know now.
Yeah.
How would you advise a mom, parents who are watching this, someone who is pregnant, or even people in the medical field, being that you've experienced this entire ordeal? How would you?
First of all, for mothers, all those who still have this myth or having C-section is for lazy people. It's not confirmed, it's not 100%. I'll not say that not one has had C-section and their child has cerebral palsy. Yeah, but it's not the end of life. If you're sure your child will be fine and you'll be fine and you've been advised to have C-section, it is well. At least you've seen what can happen due to recklessness during delivery or delayed delivery.
Vaginal delivery.
Yeah, all this can happen. Not, I didn't cause it on me.
Yeah.
Initially, the early stages of life, I used to wonder why God chose me, but now I know probably it was a test. And it is well. And it is our blessing. He means so much to us. Yeah. So I advise mothers to expect that mothers, if you've been advised to do C-section, it is okay. C-section is not bad. If you'll be fine and your child will be fine. Yeah.
And to the medical people.
Medical people, our dear medical people, please be considerate. Some of the things are true, they are facts, they are proven, but how you tell them to us, yeah, how you give us some information, never leaves people the same. It can easily depress you.
Yeah.
They work so hard, I know it's not easy. O'Neill, we've gone to hospitals where we've been sent away before because of his case, so I appreciate those who have stood with us, but at least let them be more empathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the parent as a human being.
Yeah. There's a point he was sick, I think it was around 1.5. And again, a medical person told us, called the father and told him to let them switch off the machines. And the father asked him, are you a parent? If this were your child, would you do it? So yeah, we know some of those things are probably in our best interest medically, that's what you may think. But at the end of the day,
It's your child.
this is our child, we need your empathy. You'd rather send us away than, yeah.
I know that God, whatever challenges that come to us, somehow God uses them to birth something. What has this journey taught you? What has it shown you?
This journey has taught me a lot, but I think there are key things. First of all, I've learned to count my blessings. Yeah. There are so many things people take for granted, but for us, we know that life in itself is a blessing. We look at children. There's a time, I'll take you back a bit, we were driving by a street and then my husband says, we had had such a week. We were in hospital every day. They're telling us, you may make it, you may not make it. So this night we are discharged and we are driving home in the night. So he saw street children begging somewhere in Kololo. And he just made a statement, their parents don't know what they have. So for us, where we are, we've learned to count our blessings. Even if your child is blind, at least they are blind. Whatever your child is, appreciate that. Yeah. We've also learned patience. When we've really learned how to be patient. Yeah. With people, with ourselves, with the children. Yeah. Because it takes a lot of patience to raise a child with cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You told me you have a baby younger than O'Neill.
Yes, I do.
How was that?
The pregnancy, first of all, it was tough because you're carrying it every day. But same as O'Neill, like I carried a good pregnancy, I was okay. So even this time you're carrying a pregnancy, but
You're scared.
you're so scared because there are families which have more than one CP case.
Yeah.
So you're asking God, begging God that may this one be okay. So this time I went for C-section without a doubt, of course. And yeah, so we have our little princess. She's like the joy of the house right now. Yeah. I know many parents out there with children of having CP don't even want to have another because of what they've gone through.
Yeah.
But I would encourage them, if possible, to have more. This alone is like therapy to me, like the mother who stays home. Because as you're looking at O'Neill and he's having this bad episode, he's probably choking during the seizure, biting himself. Some seizures come with everything. He's releasing everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the little sister will come and do something so funny. You will laugh, and
You
for a
find
minute,
joy.
yeah, you'll find joy. So that is it.
Wow. Was there an option of seeking legal redress against the hospital?
So currently, wherever we go, I have a file with O'Neill's document. It's really huge. I've even, but whoever looks at it, the first question they ask you, why don't you go legal? Why don't you go legal?
Yeah.
But when I discuss with my husband, this story is very painful to us.
Yeah.
This I'm giving you is a very brief version. But if we go legal, we have to live each of those days afresh.
Again.
I don't know, probably we're not yet there, but for now. And he says even if he was given millions,
It wouldn't make up for it.
nothing can make up for the life our child has to live. Yeah.
Okay. The first time we're talking, you mentioned that this journey has also taught you that moms who are looking after children that have special needs need the break, like the breather that you talked about, going to
Yeah.
town and just doing nothing but breathing. And you had thought of a daycare.
Yeah.
Is that still something you think of?
Yeah, so right now I'm starting a daycare, of course, with support from everyone. I would love to start a daycare, first of all, for these mothers, for these caretakers, to have a somewhat normal life. Our lives, day and night, this is the life you live. I've been blessed by God that I have a supportive husband who will go and work and make sure O'Neill has medication. But
Because
there's a
many
mother.
men
Most
jump
men run
ship.
off, they can't deal.
Yeah.
And actually, women also run off and leave the kids for the man sometimes,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
having this child, even if I just walked on the street there, you will see the faces. There is so much stigma. So I want to start a daycare. Actually, I've started one. We've registered it. It's called Cerebral Stars Daycare Center. So we want these children to live up to their full potential. If they are dropped to the daycare, we shall do some things like physiotherapy, some of those therapies, so that even in their condition, they are also
They live a good life.
a good life. But also for us, they are caretakers, for us, the mothers. A mother out there, for example, on such a day has to fend for the rest of the family. So they are forced to lock up this child. They're forced to walk with this child on the back, even just walking with O'Neill in a taxi.
It's 4.
Exactly.
At 4, the baby is heavy.
The baby is very heavy. Their backs are broken. So I think we should join hands and help each other, because I know these children are out there in society. They're out there, but
Where is this daycare located?
currently at my home. Yeah. Until we are got enough funding and we come closer to people, that is in Magere.
In Nigeria.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll put the details in the description box for any mom. Do you have like a limit?
I want to start with 10 children, 5 boys, 5 girls. And as we grow, as we get more funding, we can expand. But for the beginning, 5 boys, 5 girls, between 1 and 12 years. Yes, I don't want to outdo myself. These children are not easy. Even just feeding them, I'm still lucky that O'Neill can still do through the mouth. Most of them are in tubes. So feeding him just, let's say, porridge will take about 2 hours. Yeah, so the more children, the more manpower, the more we need a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Welcome.
It's a
Thank you for
painful
having
story.
me.
It's a very painful story, but I know that in God there is no failure, no sad story that is wasted.
Amen. I want to help other mothers out there. There's a mother whose child has been diagnosed today. She doesn't know what's coming. She doesn't know how to take the child. Probably her in-laws are telling her. Because cerebral palsy in Uganda currently is considered, it's myth-related actually. They think you are looking for wealth or you sacrificed your child. Your in-laws could judge you, or she can't be able to have children, and all that. But the mothers who just need a break, she just wants this child to be somewhere for a minute, for her to think, for her to smile, for her to attend that party for her. So that is where I'm coming from. That is why I want this Cerebral Stars Daycare Center, both for the children but also for their caretaker. Yeah. To live a normal life.
Wow. There are so many lessons for us to learn from Audrey's story, from how to advocate for ourselves when we're pregnant, to the power of forgiveness, because forgiveness is not for the other person, but it's for us. If you are holding on to that forgiveness, holding back the forgiveness towards the doctor, I think you'd be even in a much different state. So we are grateful for your story, and for any mother who has a baby with cerebral palsy, or you know someone with cerebral palsy, or you can come on and partner with Audrey as she does this for babies who are battling CP, please come on board and support. I know that every story is important, and this story for me has enlightened my mothering, and how I look at babies who are differently abled and even their caretakers. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Yeah, and we shall see you next Thursday. Remember, I am rooting for you. Hey guys. Bloopers.